Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and today I'm going to continue on my strip down of the Alfa. Alright, so a lot of you guys saw me last week struggling getting the engine out of this car because I didn't know some of the simple tricks that all the Alfa guys know, that you can actually undo one of the steering arm sides off of the body and drop it down. Just one will be enough to get enough clearance to get the engine out without actually having to try and get that sort of big tie rod off, because it's really, really tight. I tried bashing it with the engine in there. I can't get any leverage, and it was just, it wasn't coming. Today it's got to come, or at least all of the steering and wheels, suspension, all of the wiring, everything has to come out so that we can get stuck in and build it back up again. Let's get into it. All right, boosters are out of the way now. I've got to get rid of this wiring. The loom has already been chopped off, and the whole thing is just a scraggly mess that's completely useless to me now. So I'm just going to hack it up. I'm probably going to have to put a whole new wiring loom into the car when I'm ready to go. Obviously, it's going to have a different engine in it, so that's going to require different engine wiring. But the body loom I was hoping to use original. I know a lot of people like to change things over, but even changing over all the body wiring is actually a lot of work. But I have no way to avoid it in this car, so I'm just going to chop the rest of this out, save wasting time, and keep stripping everything back. So later today I'm going to head over to Tim's and I'll introduce you to him then, but he came over earlier to have a look at this car, and he was quite impressed with how neat my boot lid was, that it was a nice, immaculate, neat boot lid. What I didn't realise is when I was actually lifting this up to show him the car, I had the boot lid up, it hit the roof of the garage, didn't it? And it has dented and bent the hinges and dented my boot, my perfect boot that wasn't going to need any work. Now I have to fix it. So with that, ensuring the boot is down, let's lift the car up and start tackling some of the underside. I've got all of the engine bay pretty much clear. All of the lines are disconnected. Now I need to get it up and see what else I can tackle underneath and start getting wheels and suspension off of the car. I think I'll start with the front and work my way back. So as I was saying earlier, that I had issues getting the engine out because of this arm, this steering arm. And just by unbolting this bracket from up on the side here, it's quite easy to unbolt, much easier than knocking this, this pin out. Just unbolt that, that's dropped down enough, and I would have been able to get the engine out had I done some research earlier. But I'm not generally smart enough to do that research. So moving on. Definitely not the safest way to take the tension off of the spring is how I've used my gearbox jack and a lump of wood, and as you saw, it sprung off. Not the safest way. Do not do it this way. It's dumb. I probably, there's another thing I should have probably looked up. I do have some spring clamps, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get them in there. I might try and use them on the other side because that let go a bit harder than I thought. Wow, that was super dumb and super dangerous. Basically, when this let go, it actually lifted the whole front of the car up off of the hoist, so it was like sort of tilting up on there. That's really not a safe way of removing the spring. Yeah, I'm going to do something different for the other side because I don't learn. I really don't learn. All right, let's try a much safer method for this side. Some of the guys use threaded rods. I've got, I looked through my bolts. I've got a couple of, they're Gow bolts, they're exterior bolts. I'm going to use these. Hopefully they'll fit through. So I'm going to take out 2 of the bolts, replace them with these one at a time. So they actually are holding everything in place. Then remove the opposite 2 bolts, and with 2 bolts, let them down gradually either side and just gradually take the tension off the spring, and hopefully I don't kill myself. That's the plan. Let's see how this works. All right, so moving further forward, I've realised I had to remove the shock to try and get this bolt onto the spring perch, and I need to get one on a diagonally opposite corner. Now, the one over on this side, there's no way I'm going to be able to get the bolt on. The bolt's really long and it's not going to fit in that area there to get to that one. So I can put a long bolt on this corner here, but that means that I need to get it onto this opposite corner here, which means I need to get the steering rack out of the way, and I've unbolted the steering box off of, the steering box is on the opposite side of these bolts here. Now I need to bring the car down and unbolt the steering column so I can get the steering rack out. And so as I was playing around trying to get the steering box out, I realised that I can just turn the steering wheel and make space to get that bolt in. Oh, I like doing things the hard way and the slow way. But anyway, I've moved the knuckle out of the way enough. I should hopefully be able to get the bolt in now. We'll see how it goes. Time to undo this one, and hopefully the other ones will take up the slack and we'll be able to get this thing out. Okay, so these are on in 2 corners. I had to use these impact sockets to extend them because I didn't have enough thread to go all the way down the bolt, but hopefully there's enough length in that thread to let the springs down to take the tension out of them. Now I'm going to take out the opposite corners. Hopefully the thing holds and I can gradually lower this spring down. That's the plan. Let's see how it works. That was a much safer method, and it's out with no bang and spring and danger. Much better. Okay, we're on the ground. Everything, I think, is unbolted. So hopefully I can just raise the car up and basically help guide the steering box out, and the suspension will stay on the ground. That's my theory anyway. Let's see how that works. So the brake and clutch master cylinders have been disconnected here. They both sit under the car, underneath some covers. And what I'm doing with all these lines, I'm going to remove them as Tim has suggested to me, all in one piece. The reason being is, if they're still in good nick, I have no issues with reusing old brake lines. I've given a good clean out and use them again. So I'll see how they go, because it's a really time-consuming thing bending up all new brake lines if I don't have to. So I'm going to keep them, and we'll see how they go, whether I use them or not. The jury is still out, depending on what I do as far as brakes and everything else that goes with the engine that I'm putting in the car. I'm going to tackle the rear suspension next week, but I'm going to head down now to Aladdin's cave, as Tim likes to call it. And show you a bit through a bit of a collection at Zoo Autocraft, and give you a bit of an idea of who Tim is, who is going to be assisting me at least with advice, and he's a wealth of knowledge that I have, who is local to me and just happens to be, if not the top Alfa 105 restorer in Australia. So let's go and have a look. Hey guys, so lots of you have been worried that I'm jumping in blind on this project and I'm going to ruin it all. And that may well be the case, but at least I do have access to be able to talk to Tim at Zoo Autocraft. And I'm actually at Aladdin's cave at the moment, and I'll just show you around here and show you some of the cool bits and pieces that he's been working on. But basically, Tim has been working on these Alfas for who knows how long, and done 30 years? Yeah. 30 years, there you go. And yeah, anything that we need to know, he's done it, he's been there. So restoring these things is not going to be an issue. So I'll take you through now and just show you what I'm going to do to my car, and show you some of the examples of what I might have to deal with. So many of you are talking about getting the car sandblasted and how it's going to ruin it. And I'm actually using the same guy that Tim uses for his cars. He used to dip the cars. And one of the issues with dipping cars is, particularly if you start getting down into inside wheel wells and odd places, the fluids that they use can start leaking out and ruin your paint. Even after you've painted for years, they can just keep coming out. Whereas the sandblasting process, particularly the one that they use, he uses different media for different parts of the car, but it leaves it this sort of rougher surface on it where the paint will stick to anything. And it's all covered in Keyphos in the sanding booth straight afterwards, so it doesn't rust. This particular car was sandblasted a few years ago, and it still looks like it did the day it was blasted. I will be doing the same as this on these cars, so cutting the bottom of the seals off and opening everything up so that I can expose any rust that is on the car. I'm hoping my car is not as bad as this one, which is actually not that bad, but who knows, it may be. All right, so I'll take you around here and just show you some of the bits and pieces. So he's got some old Alfas here. There's another 105 here. There's another one in the back there. This is a Moretti Sportiva, which is apparently about 1 of 14 made. A later GTV, some more 105s. We have a Lancia Fulvia up here. Up the back, got a selection of random Alfas.
The Fiat 2300S, Alfa 2600 Spider genuine right-hand drive. It's a very rare car. GTV 2 litre, same as the donor car for
for what I'm starting with.
Step nose, GTV.
And also up on the top here.
Sprint Special, 101 1600 Julia Sprint Special.
And then mountains of parts. Looks like cases, sumps, heads, diffs, seats, wheels,
body panels,
everything. It's Aladdin's cave of old Italian goodness. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the bits and pieces there at Zero Craft, and I am really grateful to have Tim nearby. He's a great guy who's been willing to help me out. I've been discussing what I'm doing with this project with him for a little while, and bouncing ideas off him. He's been a vital source of information for me, and he's really good at what he's done. I've seen, I'll see if I can show you some other projects that are further along, but the work is top notch. All right, that is as far as I'm going to get today on this car. It's taken me a lot longer, as these things do, particularly getting those springs out. I think, yeah, the method I've used in the end is definitely the safer way to go than what I did on the first side. That was quite dangerous. Don't do that. Don't do that. All right, as always, please like and subscribe to keep following me on this project. As I said, I really don't think you'll be disappointed. It's going to be a really fun one. Join us on Patreon. That really helps us out, keeps us going, and you get to see the videos a day before everybody else. Follow us Facebook and Instagram as well. That gives you some tips and hints of what's happening moving forward. And I'll see you on the next one. See you guys.